afternoon. My name is Agwali Esther. I am a counselor at SOL Nigeria, and I will anchor today's training session on emotional intelligence. We often hear people talk about emotional intelligence. We hear people talk about this at the workplace too. We have trainings, but what does this mean? Today we'll have 4 core objectives that we'll look at. 1, we want to know how to develop self-awareness and self-regulation to boost our emotional intelligence. Yes, you can actually increase your emotional intelligence. 2, we want to identify ways to improve our emotional intelligence. 3, we want to recognize the benefits of emotional intelligence to yourself and to others. What are the benefits? 4, we want to state the relationship between behaviors and consequences. So quickly, what are the contents? What is the course content? Number 1, what are emotions? What are emotions? 2, what is intelligence? 3, what is emotional intelligence? 4, what are the qualities of an emotionally intelligent person? Now 5, we have how do you develop emotional intelligence? And 6, what are the benefits of emotional intelligence skills at the workplace? So quickly, let us run through the module. What are emotions? As long as you are a human being, you must show emotions. Now, emotions is a core component of the human person. Now, there are 3 core components. Number 1, we have the cognition. 2, we have the psychomotor. And 3, we have the affective. The cognition has to do with your thinking, your appraisal, your judgment, your evaluation skills, your English, your maths, your microbiology, your law when you go to school. That's your cognition at play. Now you also have your psychomotor area, has to do with your motor skills, using your muscles. When you do craft, football, anything that involves you using your motor skills, that is the psychomotor area. The third part is your affective state. Affective has to do with your emotions, your feelings, your behavior. Emotions are so core that they affect our thinking and our behaviors. Now let's quickly run through an exercise, a mindfulness exercise. Now I want you to go somewhere. Go into an environment that is quiet, devoid of distractions as best you can. I want you to sit down. Sit down and relax your shoulders and your legs. I want you to close your eyes and reflect on the last 1 hour. If you need to pause the video to do this, kindly do that. Close your eyes and reflect on the last 1 hour. What is the strongest emotion you have felt in the last 1 hour? What triggered this emotion? You can pause the video now, do this exercise. When you're done, you can come back. So now we looked at what emotions are. What is intelligence? Intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Now it's a 2-edged sword. You're not just acquiring, you are applying. It is also the ability to learn, understand, and deal with new or trying situations. We will always have change. It's the most constant thing in life. And change sometimes may not be pleasant. Stressors will come. An intelligent person has the ability, to adapt into new challenges. Now, it is not enough to acquire information or knowledge. There's a saying that goes that if you should know better so you can do better. But we always do better when we know better. So intelligence has to be applied. So let's quickly look at taking emotion, taking intelligence. What does emotional intelligence mean? Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and those of the people around you. Why is this important? Human beings, man is a social being. Even if you are an introvert, even if you do not really like to communicate or talk with people or relate, you must have a level of relationship with people. And so it is important that you understand emotional intelligence and apply it in your life. It makes life easier. It makes life, quality of life to be improved. 4 core components when it comes to emotional intelligence. One, self-awareness. Self-awareness is very important because before we can talk about another person, you have to understand yourself, your emotion. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? What are your threats? You have to know who you are. When you go out there, you might pretend, you might, put on a show. But when you are alone, you should not be able to sit yourself down and say, honestly, how am I feeling right now? Are you aware of your surrounding? Are you aware of your emotions? Can you name them? Sometimes we shy away from the truth of our emotions. So maybe you are qualified for a promotion, or you think you are qualified, and you have a colleague who is also qualified, and then they get the promotion and you do not. And then you are feeling some type of, but you have to sit down and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? Are you really happy for them? You have to tell yourself the truth. And you have to, with this, when you understand your emotions, you understand non-verbal cues. We'll talk about non-verbal cues in another slide. It makes you better able to understand other people. Then when you understand your emotion, it's not just enough to be self-aware. You have to learn to self-regulate. When you are self-aware, you understand your triggers. You know when something is going to trigger you, maybe to anger. But it's not enough to know it and you just get angry and do whatever you like. You must learn to self-regulate. It's not every stimulus that leads to response. It's not every trigger you need to respond to. But if you do not have self-regulation knowledge, sometimes you need to walk away. Sometimes you need to drink water. Sometimes you need to just be silent. You have to learn to self-regulate. Another core component is empathy. Now, when you know yourself, you're self-aware, you can now, translate to other people. Empathy is simply you putting yourself in other people's shoes, feeling what they feel, knowing that you are not just the only person in life. You need to consider other people's perspectives, other people's feelings. You need to carry other people along. And then you have social skills. Social skills is like the driver you need to, work all of these areas of emotional intelligence. Because as a human being, you must socialize. Now, why are we saying all of this? And why is it important in the workplace? In the workplace, you get to relate with different people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, and it is important that you have the intelligence, to be able to avoid conflicts or deal with conflicts as they come, relate with people, understand different personalities, know that not everybody will relate or react the way you do. And that is why it is important, because the workplace has to be safe. The workplace, not just physical safety, emotional safety. That is why you must have this knowledge of emotional intelligence. And let's quickly run through the qualities of an emotionally intelligent person. How do you know that this is an emotionally intelligent person? First, are they self-aware? Are you self-aware? Do you know yourself? Are you part-time aware of your environment? Some of you, maybe you need something from your supervisor. Sometimes read the room. You see their mood. This is not the right time to approach. You have to be self-aware. But if you don't understand what emotions are, you can't even translate it. And an emotionally intelligent person is curious. You want to know, why does A behave the way they do? Why does B behave the way they do? You are curious. You want to know. You are open to new knowledge. An emotionally intelligent person also has empathy. We've talked about it already. You can always put yourself in another person's shoes so that you will do to others what you also want to be done to you. You have to have an analytical mind to be an emotionally intelligent person. You can think, you can read a room, you can understand non-verbal cues. You also know how to prioritize. You know that, okay, you want to watch this movie right now. It's the rave of the moment. But you also have a deadline at work to submit maybe a report, and then you go ahead to watch the movie. You've not shown emotional intelligence. You must learn to prioritize. You must be an optimistic person. You must not always expect the worst. You must plan, to be positive in your nature. An emotionally intelligent person knows that emotions can rub off on other people. So you try to stay optimistic. Then adaptability, change will come. How do you adapt well to changes when they occur? As long as you are living, you will experience change. An emotionally intelligent person is adaptable. They desire to help others succeed. Remember empathy. They know it's not all about them all the time. So there is joy in helping others succeed and then to succeed themselves. Now let's keep moving. How do you develop emotional intelligence? How do you develop emotional intelligence? Number one, you have to do a self-evaluation. This is like taking a bath. You must do this daily. Every day you come back from work, sit yourself down. How did the day go? What happened? The way I spoke to this person, was I rude? What was my tone sounding like? You have to evaluate yourself. This helps you to develop emotional intelligence strongly. Two, you have to examine how you react to stressful situations. Not every stimulus leads to response. You don't have to respond to everything. And when stress comes, do you always avoid? Are you an avoidant personality? It doesn't always help. Sometimes you have to, face the stressor head on and find out how to deal with it. Now, we also want to look at how do you examine your actions and how it affects others. To develop emotional intelligence, you must be aware that before you take decisions, that actions have consequences. And that there's nothing you do right now that does not affect somebody else somewhere. There is no decision you take that won't affect. And if you're a team, you're a member of a team, in an organization, you cannot just do what you want. Because your failure affects a whole team. Your success affects a whole team. Now, you also need to learn to take responsibility for your actions. You don't always push everything. You blame something else. You blame the spiritual. You blame your parents. You blame your boss. You blame your teachers. An emotionally intelligent person takes responsibility for their actions. And that even shows maturity. It shows growth. Let's look at the benefits of emotional intelligence at the workplace. Now, why do you need this skill at the workplace? Now, one, it makes you better able to understand non-verbal cues. What are non-verbal cues? Communication that do not require words. The communication that requires us to speak, to use words, to talk, is about 7% of communication. The rest has to do with body language, your non-verbal cues. When you were little, your mother would just give you that look and then you know that you moved. Non-verbal, and it's very important. You can tell when you're addressing maybe in the board meeting and people are bored. You can tell if you understand non-verbal cues. You can understand emotion of your colleague if you understand non-verbal cues. Another benefit is it kind of guarantees you job security, because an emotionally intelligent person is somebody everybody likes to work with. It also makes you a good team member or a good team player, because you consider other people's stance and emotions too. It builds positive relationships with clients, your customers. Sometimes we are in a bad mood and we take it out on the customers. And this affects, it affects our career, it affects the work we do. Now, another benefit is that it promotes leadership qualities. We are all leaders in your own sphere of influence. And it will help you promote, because people want to be around you. They want to hear from you. You're an optimistic person. You show empathy. It also enhances career growth and development. It makes you a positive role model. Of course, everybody wants to be around an emotionally intelligent person. It also speeds up promotion at the workplace. An emotionally intelligent person prioritizes, gets work done as at when due, is not rude to supervisors or colleagues, maintains an air of cordiality. So why not? They are always, very close to promotion, always, getting it, snatching it up at the workplace. Now, we'll do one more class activity before we go for today. Now imagine that there's a new employee at SOL and his name is Tunde. What are the emotional intelligence skills that Tunde needs to grow, to develop in him? And thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. A quick one. We looked at what emotions are, what intelligence is, emotional intelligence. We looked at the benefits, how to develop emotional intelligence. We look at the relevance at the workplace, and we looked at self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. I wish you a very beautiful day ahead. Thank you. Bye.